All right, let's get on with this. Let me jump on Stephens and Meldrum, Evolution and Mormonism. It's the newest book on this subject. It is 2001. It's from Signature Books. I would highly recommend this book. It's the most extensive analysis, so far as we understand, so far as we have in writing, concerning many of the major issues between the church and evolution. They are not diametric opposites. They do not need to be. Now, these two gentlemen are biochemists and biologists who work in evolutionary thematics every single day. They're also LDS. Let's jump on something that I thought was one of the better analysis that they had on the body as a temple. This is chapter 9, pages 131 through 138. I'm going to explore this with you for a few minutes, and then there's some other aspects that I want to share from their knowledge. 1 Corinthians 3:16, coupled with Doctrine and Covenants, section 93, verse 35, says, "Know ye not that ye are a temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you?" Some people say that if man descended from the animals, if we are just animals, then how does that reconcile that with we are a temple of God? Our bodies are temples of God. The question is, what makes the temple hallowed? The stones of which it is constructed, or the Spirit within? I think that's a very interesting thought. What makes the temple special is the Spirit of God, which dwells in it. When the Nauvoo temple was built and then destroyed by the mob, that did not ruin that spirit that was in the temple. They were just stones that were hand-carved out of the mountains and put together in a building. The temple, after all, is a building. Our body is a building. What resides within is the eternal element. Now, a temple is hallowed by the Spirit. This is on page 133. A temple is hallowed by the Spirit that resides in it, not by the physical materials from which it is built. Likewise, our bodies are said to be hallowed by the spirits within us, not by the flesh with which we are composed. Elder James E. Talmage said this concerning this issue. In speaking of the origin of man, we generally refer to the creation of man's body. And of all the mistakes that man has made concerning himself, one of the greatest and the gravest is that of mistaking the body for the man. He said that in The Earth and Man, page 476. Now, even though we are the spirit children of God, there is no reason to believe that our physical bodies are any more than a temple made of stone. Many church members believe that because we are the spirit children of God, there must be something distinctive, something special about our physical bodies as well. Well, there is, but it's not our physical bodies that is the special part of man. The unsupported notion that our physical bodies must be in some way special, that is, apart from nature, and directly descended from God's immortal body, is a major source of conflict with evolutionary theory. Our bodies are from the dust of this earth, not from God. Now, of course, He fashioned them, but from the dust of the earth. We are replicated by the genes. We are not instantly created by God with our bodies. We are spirit children of God, but that doesn't mean our bodies are. On page 134, our DNA nucleotide sequences are remarkably similar to those of other living things on this planet. Astonishingly so. And we are clearly told that Jesus Christ was the only begotten of God. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever should believe in Him should not perish, but have everlasting life. That's John 3:16. Now, some have equivocated by stating that Christ was the only begotten in the flesh. that is, born to a mortal mother. This in some ways allows the claim that Adam and Eve were also physically begotten of God. According to this notion, they were not begotten in the flesh because they were begotten by exalted parents as immortal beings. Neither the statement that Christ was the only begotten Son in the flesh, nor the statement that Adam and Eve were created in an immortal state is given in the Scriptures. Were you aware of that? I think that is a profound insight. Now we're beginning to see the traditional interpretations of Scriptures is what's in conflict here. Nowhere do the Scriptures state Adam and Eve were begotten and made immortal. And you go, well, how does that reconcile things? Let me explain this to you. It's very interesting. Therefore, the idea that our physical bodies are in some way unnatural and not part of this earth, this has been perpetuated by tradition rather than by Scripture. We are related to all the life on this planet. We are from this earth, our bodies. Our souls are not. Our bodies are. The only Scripture cited in support of the notion that Adam and Eve, as well as all the animals for that matter, were inherently immortal and incapable of reproduction is 2 Nephi 2:22. So let's explore this. This is a remarkable exploration that these two do here. Very impressive, in my opinion. This is where Lehi states this. He says, "And now behold, if Adam had not transgressed, he would not have fallen, but he would have remained in the Garden of Eden. And all things which were created must have remained in the same state in which they were after they were created. And they must have remained forever and had no end." That is the Book of Mormon Scripture. The central part of this Scripture is the phrase, "All things must have remained in the same state in which they were after they were created, and they must have remained forever and had no end." What does the term "all things" mean? What is that referring to? Verse 23 appears to refer to Adam and Eve only, and verse 24 uses the term "all things," and it uses it twice, but what it does is all things refer to concepts, not physical things. Have you ever noticed that before? I think this is profound. I really think this is beautiful. Very interesting here. Can we be certain that the term "all things" in verse 22 means Adam, Eve, all of the animals, and all of the plants? I say we can't. Here's why. Could the term "things" simply mean conditions? They're conditions. And what is the same state in which they were after they were created? What does that mean? You see, that statement still does not indicate what that condition was. If the phrase "all things" is to be interpreted literally as all things, then what about the fruit that Adam and Eve were eating? There is no way that the fruit could have been eaten and still remained in the same state in which it was created. Very interesting insight. Apparently, Lehi's comments were not meant to include all things. Could it have referred to conditions? If Adam had not transgressed, his condition of immortality in the garden would have continued indefinitely. A passage in the Encyclopedia of Mormonism may be of interest here for us.